right here and now in the
Right.
restroom.
Right. Now, hold up. Time out. Is this a PG recording episode? Or is this R? Or somewhere in between?
So technically it's R. We can say whatever we want.
Okay.
However, I have learned that my parents are watching. So
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Be careful where you go then, by all means.
welcome back to the third and final part of tonight's show. If you are just joining us, we've already finished parts 1 and parts 2, where we tried and discussed Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and we already covered the first half of Sons of Anarchy Season 2, Episode 3, titled Fix. If you missed any of those, you can click up here and go to our playlist that will have parts 1, part 2, and part 3, and you can watch them all in order. And when you do, be sure to like and subscribe, and then leave us your questions and comments in the comment section below this video. You can also email your questions to us at ask@bourbonbros, that's BROS.TV. And remember, if you ask a great question that doesn't suck, we may even answer it on a future show.
Maybe.
All right, Ken, let's get into the back half of the episode. I want to kick things off with what I refer to as becoming an old lady.
Yes.
And this is where Gemma, I think, starts to turn the corner, accept Tara a little bit, and starts to mentor her a little bit on what she needs to do to be an old lady for Jax.
Right. I think the next episode is where she really, it's like an epiphany.
Yes.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But this
Keep
is kind
a pen in that. We don't want to give anything away.
It's a build up to that.
It's not accidental that I referred to this as becoming an old lady.
Okay. All right.
So the scene I'm referring to specifically, and I want to get you to weigh in here, is when Jax gives our good friend Ima a ride back to Teller Motors.
Yes.
And does not realize it, but Tara is in the office with Gemma, and you see Ima being, let's just say, very friendly with Jax.
Very friendly. It's a little bit further than I thought Jax would go with this, actually. But
yeah, he doesn't exactly rebuff.
No.
Like he kind of leans into it more than you would think.
Yeah, a little bit.
And you've got Gemma basically asking Tara if she's okay with that.
You good with that rubbing on Jax?
I trust him.
And then ultimately you have Tara, who I contend this is where Tara is wrestling with the doctor and surgeon Tara and the old lady Tara.
Yeah.
Because Jim is very much in that mindset of you need to teach Ima a lesson and make sure she knows Jax is off limits.
Yeah.
And Tara is a respectable, upstanding citizen and doctor that doesn't just go get in a cat fight because somebody has made an advance at her guy.
Right. She said her catfighting days are behind her, right?
I'm not 18 years old anymore, Gemma. My catfighting days are behind me.
And I love Gemma's response to that. She just kind of smiles at her and says,
We'll see.
so I love that scene. And again, this is kind of an ongoing thread that continues to build through the episode and will ultimately take us to the fade to black. But let's keep things moving, Ken. What do you got for us next?
I don't know. The church scenes are always good to me.
You are always a fan of church. I'll give you that.
Yeah, the strategy is being developed. They come around the table and they kind of laid out that they found the meth lab. Right?
Yes.
They found the location of the meth lab. And Tig
and our good friend Tig.
Yeah, he wants to like, I'm not ready to go in. I want to blow stuff up.
That's right.
Yeah, that's his MO.
He's hot to trot.
Right. And Jax is really concerned about not making a mess in their own backyard. He wants to keep it on the down low, whatever you want to say. I don't know what's PC in this day and age, but he wants to let law enforcement handle it.
Right, which would make sense, right? Like law enforcement wouldn't want a meth lab any more than they do.
No,
like give
no.
them the intel and let them go shut it down.
Sure.
Like Sam Crow doesn't need to be involved at all. Why risk Sam Crow getting involved in a crime? They can just let law enforcement do it.
Right. But this is where the strategy really happens, because they don't really know whether Hale is on the, like, whether he's in their pocket or not. They don't want to tell Hale, or Unser rather. They want to tell Hale and kind of see what develops. They want to throw it in there and see whether they can prove that Hale is on the take or in with them, in alignment with the Norrs or not.
Yeah, and I got to give Clay credit. Like, this is smart on his part to test Hale.
Well, they want to test Hale, but at the same time, Clay goes and tells Unser anyway.
Well, and I think this is smart too, because with Unser knowing, he's able to go and ask Hale directly.
He can keep an eye on it. Like, he tells them what's going on, what they think is going on, but they give it to Unser and let him know that, hey, you look. Like,
That's right.
We're watching. You watch.
That's right. And
so I think
it will save kind
smart.
of the outcome for later.
Yeah,
but yes.
Right.
So essentially, this gets into what I refer to as trust but verify. Right? So they are going to give it to law enforcement.
Well put. Mm-hmm.
But they're going to see whether law enforcement actually takes and handles it or not. Because if Hale doesn't, it implies that he's in Zobel's pocket.
It's very obvious at that point.
Which Jax does not believe there is any possibility.
Yeah, he
that
thinks there's
Hale,
no way. Because he's so by the book.
Straight-laced, by the book. Yep, absolutely. And again, Clay goes with the trust and verify, and we'll leave it at that because we'll find out later.
Right. Well, let's move on to the next one. What's your next point?
All right, so I'm actually going to lean on you for this because I know in our discussions prior to recording, this is one of the ones that I know you hit on as well, and I thought you had some great comments on it. I'm just going to refer to it as the prison clause.
Oh, yeah.
So as you had talked about earlier, I think we get this in the cold open. Bobby Elvis is on hard times after being released from prison. He's trying to catch up on his financial obligations.
He is, yep.
Clay knows that Bobby is a strong supporter of Sam Crow. He's been a great consigliere to Clay. And so Clay throws him a bone and says, let's give you a cushy desk job. Head over to the Cara, cook the books. We're going to add you to the payroll, and you'll get some steady income from Cara.
Yeah.
No discussion with Luann, by the way, on this.
No.
This is just decided by Clay.
Sure. No discussion with anyone, actually. Just
That's right. Mm-hmm. So Bobby goes and does that. Luann's not happy. Jack settles things down with Luann. Bobby's now there. Sure. Bobby, what does he say? His dad ran books for the mob?
Yeah, the mob.
You pulling me off the set
Did
doesn't
you
help.
know that my old man was a bookkeeper for the mob in Reno?
Jesus Christ. I'm in the middle.
Italians paid him a lot of money. You know why? Handled 2 sets of books.
Bobby understands creative bookkeeping.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great call out. The mob, like great resume there, right? Bobby and his family. That's great. Like,
yes.
That qualifies him for doing the books.
But he does know enough to discover that Luann's running 2 sets of books.
Yep.
And she's skimming, which means that the amount of money that's been going to the club is less than it should be.
Sure. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, that's the takeaway.
And what's interesting about this is, generally speaking, if you find that somebody is basically stealing and lying to the club and not giving the club what they're actually owed, penalty of death is not out of the question.
Well, yeah, as we've seen, I mean, this is like, that's obvious, right?
This is a pretty...
It's a big offense. Big offense.
Big offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Luann's like frazzled by this. She's hit by that. And
Because she
Bobby's
knows,
like,
as being Otto's old lady, she's
Yeah.
been around the block. She
She
knows
has.
what this means.
So Bobby's like, look, this is a club vote. Nothing to do with me. I found this, but like it's a club vote.
I think he says this is a club decision.
Club decision. Right.
So Luann
Yeah. Luann.
decides that she needs to find an alternative solution in a hurry.
Definitely.
And what is her decision, Ken?
Well, how do you put this? So her decision is to come on to Bobby and throw out her services. And she has a resume
Yes.
with Cara.
She's
In the early
apparently
days.
she's skilled.
She has some skills of such, and she throws out her services to him.
And Bobby initially is not opposed, but Luann's Otto's old lady.
Yeah, and he says that. You're Otto's old lady. Like, and she informs him that there's a prison clause.
Look, Luann, you're Otto's old lady.
Yeah.
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 But there's a prison clause.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, and we kind of get a sense of where things are headed, but you don't really know at this point because
No,
it quickly
it-
cuts to another scene.
And even watching this episode to the very end, I don't know that Bobby took advantage of that.
Oh, I
still don't
do.
know. You do? Like, how? Because
Well,
I
we'll
watched-
talk about it in the fade to black.
Okay, well, we'll stop there, but I don't know. I'm not convinced.
We're going to revisit this in the fade to black.
All right.
So, yeah, let's leave it there for now. But yes, this is Luann's solution. She's going to trade, let's just say, sexual favors for Bobby's silence.
Yeah. Yeah, leave it at that.
All right. So, Ken, before we get into the fade to black, give me one more. Give me one more moment.
I think something that jumped out to me, and it may go back to the last episode as well, but Opie, he's displaying a definite death wish.
Ah, good choice of words,
So,
too.
in the last episode, as you recall, he walked into the line of fire with the gun battle, with the gun exchange with the Mayans.
Fantastic cinematic moment.
Yeah, he didn't care. He's going out after him, and he's not trying to deflect anything. He doesn't care. If he gets hit, he gets hit. That's what it seems like.
Yep.
So in
Luckily,
this
the
episode-
Mayans apparently were not very good shots.
No, it's in the script somewhere, but yeah, he comes out in the clear. But in this episode, they find the location of the meth lab. The club surrounds the meth lab. They see what's going on inside. They surround it. There's gunfire into the windows. They enter the meth lab. Everyone flees. They get in their truck and split. Their job now is to destroy the meth lab. And everyone's watching. And Opie's the one to set off the explosives that destroy the meth lab. But he doesn't
And,
do
and
it.
everyone's assuming that it's
Yeah.
going to be a remote
A
detonation.
remote and there's going to be some, time that transpires between igniting the explosives.
Yeah, you
and what-
set up the explosives, you then
Yeah.
go to safety,
Sure.
and then using
safety.
an antenna and a remote and a button,
You can
you
detonate
set that
that.
off at a safe distance.
Sure.
Opie has other plans.
He has other plans. And so, I don't know. It reminds me of an old episode of cartoons on Saturday morning with TNT. What was that? TNT?
Oh, yeah.
Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote. Yeah,
Coyote,
there
the
you go.
Roadrunner.
Yeah, there wasn't enough time there between the... Anyway, he comes running out of the house.
He's got the remote. Oak's not using one.
An obvious death wish. He doesn't really care the ramifications of what he's done.
Yes.
The club notices it.
The club notices, and we as viewers, I think, realize that this is Opie being in that stage of mourning from Donna's death, where he doesn't care whether he lives or dies.
Right. Doesn't care.
right?
Yep.
And so it's not that he's trying to die. He just doesn't care.
Right. Yep. So it all happens. It explodes. He falls on the ground, and then it transitions to the fade of black. So take us into that.
All right. I'm going to take you home, Ken.
Yeah.
So much here.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to talk about the fade to black, kind of that the opening of the closing scene really starts with Bobby walking out of Luann's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
True. Yep.
All right. So going back to your question, we basically leave with Bobby and Luann in the office, and we don't know what happens. And as you said, you don't know for sure what's transpired. But when we cut to this scene and Bobby is walking out of the office, the guy can barely walk.
Yeah, I guess I caught that.
And you see him and the way he acts and the way he is kind of walking out of the office, like he's trying to shake it off.
His swagger.
He's been in it for a while. And
Right.
it's very evident that this is not just him getting up from the desk and a little stiff back. Like he's been involved in some
Wow.
things that are taking its toll physically.
All right. Well, I mean, I didn't catch that, but I'll take your word for it. I'll go back
If
and
you go
watch
back
that.
and watch it,
I'll go back and
definitely
watch.
just go to the fade to black. And to me, it's very obvious, but well, you be the judge. We've got Jax, who does confront Opie, right? Which is why I said I like your choice of words. He basically starts to ask Opie and probe, and Opie says point blank, I don't have a death wish.
Yeah, he said that.
And Jax doesn't necessarily believe him. And what I liked about Jax being a friend here, he doesn't push it, right? It doesn't get confrontational. But Jax reminds Opie, in probably the best way that a good friend can, you may not have Donna, but you still have 2 kids. And you're now the only parent, and you need to be here for them.
Yeah.
And then I think the main part of this fade to black is what has been building all episode. And it is kind of the episode of the week storyline, which is Ima and her efforts to muscle in on and get in between Jax and Tara.
Sure.
And you hinted at it. We won't give it away, but this kind of sets up Tara's storyline for the next episode. Like Tara has to make a decision,
Yep.
right? And this goes back to Gemma mentoring Tara and trying to help her navigate these waters. But Tara shows up, and let's just say Ima's not very welcoming.
This is a closed party. I'm looking for Jax. Honey, he's got all he can handle tonight, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I said get out.
And all of Ima's, I guess we could generously call them co-stars,
Yeah, co-stars. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
have Ima's back. And Tara realizes, number one, she's outnumbered. Number two, she doesn't want to cause a scene. And number three, she doesn't want to go to jail. And she's a doctor, and she's going to take the high road.
Yep.
But at the same time, she's pissed. So she goes into the restroom. Opie actually sees this, tells Jax.
There's an exchange.
Jax knows it's a problem.
There's an exchange going on there at the entrance where they're heated between.
That's
they're
right.
heated.
And Tara
Opie
decides to
catches it.
remove herself and go to the restroom,
Sure.
which Jax, because Opie has alerted him, follows her into the restroom
Yep.
and discovers Tara's not happy.
Nope.
Now, the one thing I'll say, and I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, Jax could have shut this down a lot earlier in the episode. He's somewhat played into this and made this a bigger deal than it needed to be.
Right.
Would you agree?
I'd agree.
And if I was Tara, I'd be pretty upset with Jax. But really, Tara's more upset with herself and wrestling with this, am I going to be an old lady or am I going to be a fine, upstanding doctor that doesn't beat the shit out of a woman that hits on my boyfriend?
Sure.
And she's wrestling with that. And that leads to, how should we frame this? Jax and Tara are in the restroom. Tara's upset with Jax.
Be careful. Be careful here.
And that turns into, how about we just say, that turns into passion.
Yeah. Great. Well put.
All right. So we'll leave it there. I think everybody can connect the dots. And so they decide that they need to, or Tara decides she needs to act on those feelings right here and now in the restroom.
Right. Now, hold up. Time out. Is this a PG recording episode? Or is this R? Or somewhere in between?
So technically it's R. We can say whatever we want.
Okay.
However, I have learned that my parents are watching. So
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Be careful where you go then, by all means.
So I'm just going to say that Tara's frustrated. That leads to some passionate frustrations that she must act on right here and now.
Okay. Okay.
And so they decide to do that in the restroom.
In the restroom. Okay.
And Ima eventually walks in to discover
She does.
these passions that needed to be acted on in that
Sure.
moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Tara makes eye contact with Ima. And
That was it. That's all. That's it right there.
you basically get a little smile from Tara at the end that says, I win.
That's it. Yep. I win.
And you see Ima's expression, and I would say Tara was right. Ima has that look of, I lost.
She's defeated. She leaves.
That's right. And fade to black.
There it is.
There it is. So that wraps up episode 3, which then leads us into episode 4, obviously, titled Eureka.
Yes.
So Ken, let's obviously not dive into Eureka, but you've seen the episode, as have I.
Sure.
Why would somebody want to tune in next week?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna tee this up. We're gonna dive into the yellow corn. Mellow corn. I'm sorry, mellow corn.
The mellow corn.
Now this is
such a handsome looking bottle.
It is. This. I have no expectations. Zero. This is Bottled and Bond, which looks great.
Yep, I'm gonna break down Bottled and Bond next week. This is the finest plastic screw cap money can buy.
Sure. I mean, this is like the old beer cans that just say beer. I can't wait.
Now be careful. I purchased that, wrapped it up in a paper bag, and shipped it to you.
Yes,
so,
you did.
Don't offend
yes, you
me.
Did. I'm not.
This is.
So yeah. I mean, I can't wait. Look, honestly, I want to get into this and just taste blindfolded. What is this about?
Yeah. Now, for those that may have not joined us on the entire journey from episode 1 or show number 1 to now, as we started to review bourbons, it became very clear that Ken preferred a high corn mash bill. He likes the sweetness that comes from the corn.
I do.
So when I discovered that Heaven Hill had a corn whiskey that I believe is over 80% corn in the mash bill and bottled in bond, and could be had for the whopping price of $13, I had to try it.
Wow.
And you couldn't find it again anywhere in PA.
Nope.
So I hand delivered a bottle to you because it's illegal to ship one. So I have hand delivered a bottle to you in
Sure.
PA Took
Yeah.
a lot of work and a lot of money,
Yep.
but you now have a bottle.
I have a bottle, and I mean, but for $13, I mean, you can understand my apprehension. Like, I don't know what to expect of this, and I expect
No, and it's 100 proof, so it's not a
100
weak
proof.
whiskey.
No, but like, I'm absolutely puzzled, bewildered. I can't wait to get into that, just to be able to compare it.
There are some aficionados out there that say that that's a hidden gem.
Wow!
But we will find out.
Can't wait! Can't wait!
So let's talk briefly about Eureka. So we've got the mellow corn, which is going to be a great way to kick off the episode. Give me a reason to tune in to Eureka. Why should I go watch that episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a build on to this. I really do.
It
I
almost feels like one of those like where this one would end with to be continued, and you get that two-parter.
Sure, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going into like how they proceed with gun transport. That's coming up.
Yep.
The strategy.
This deal that went back to the deal that Jack's negotiated
Yep.
with the Irish.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
But yes, I think what you said is spot on. It is a continuation of what we learned this week, and I do think it plays very much like a two-parter. So if you enjoyed this week's episode, you definitely want to tune in, and then obviously you want to show up for the Liquid Courage show and hear all of our excellent and insightful breakdown of this episode.
Most definitely, play by play. We're here.
That's
for
right.
you.
Over some mellow corn, which quite frankly could be dangerous.
I can't wait. It's capped off. You see it. I'm going to leave it that way till next week. I'm ready.
All right. And I've got a bunch of great background and research on mellow corn that I think will be interesting.
Excellent.
So we'll have plenty to discuss while we pour and enjoy some mellow corn. But for now, that's going to do it for tonight's show. We hope you had as much fun as we did. I want to give you one final reminder. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe. And again, do check out our channel for more shows. Go back and watch some of those previous episodes. And as you do so, I want you to reflect on how much better the show has gotten since those early episodes. And see, you won't actually know how much better it's gotten unless you go and watch those earlier episodes. So you need to go and do that.
And if you don't, just lie to us because we feel it's better.
That's right. That's right. And then for those that are listening to the podcast, we're looking for 5-star ratings and absolutely glowing reviews. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're not compelled to give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review, none would be preferable, right? Like just no review at all, no star rating, like just ignore what we're saying.
Just go
and
away.
Move along.
Just go away.
And move along. Because we only want 5-star ratings and glowing reviews. And then regardless of whether you're watching or listening, and frankly, regardless of whether you like the show or not, we don't care. Go and tell 100 other people that you know.
At least
Tell them
100.
to come and subscribe.
At least 100 because I know 100, 200, 300 people that I would communicate with myself.
That's right. Hey, if Amway could build a business on this model, so can we. And it doesn't cost you a thing. Just go tell other people and have them tell other people. And pretty soon, we could actually have a real audience. So
There we go.
Want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. And again, thank you for making it to the end of the show. If you're hearing this, you've made it to the end. Congratulations. And most of all, be sure to join us here each and every week on the Liquid Courage Show. Thanks again. Good night, everyone.